something unbelievable has happened at Heartland. For years, fans thought Ty Borden was gone forever. His story ended in heartbreak, leaving Amy, the family, and all of us grieving. But now, in Season 19, Episode 1, the unthinkable is unfolding. Ty is back, and not just in a dream or a memory. He's standing right there, alive, breathing, and staring into the eyes of the woman he once promised forever to. This isn't just a comeback. It's a storm of emotions. It's a twist that no one saw coming, and it might change everything for anyone who has followed Heartland over the years. Ty Borden's death in Season 14 was one of the most painful moments in the show's history. After being shot in the Season 13 finale, he survived the initial injury, but later died from a blood clot. It was sudden, shocking, and it tore a hole in the hearts of both Amy and the audience. The entire tone of the show changed after that. Amy was left to raise Lindy on her own. And fans had to accept a version of Heartland without one of its core characters. But now, Season 19 begins with something that many had given up hoping for: Ty's return. How is this possible? The show doesn't give us all the answers at once. The opening scenes are quiet. We see Amy going about her day on the ranch, helping with the horses, spending time with Lindy, and living the life she's carefully rebuilt. There's a peace in her routine, but also a quiet sadness that never truly left her. Then it happens. Out of nowhere, she hears a familiar voice behind her. It's soft, unsure, but unmistakable. She turns. And there he is. Ty. The camera doesn't rush the moment. It's no music at first. Just the sound of wind, horses, and Amy's breath catching in her throat. Her eyes widen. She takes a step back, not believing what she's seeing. Ty looks older, a little worn down, like a man who's been through something deep, something he hasn't talked about yet. He says her name, and that's when the reality of it sinks in. But how is he here? Is this a dream, or is Heartland playing with time? As the episode unfolds, we learn that Ty never truly died, at least, not in the way we were led to believe. The new season reveals that after his collapse, Ty was taken to a private hospital for emergency treatment. The blood clot didn't kill him, but left him in a coma, to protect Amy and the family from the uncertainty of his condition. A legal decision was made to keep his status quiet until there was hope of recovery. Months passed, then years. He slowly began to recover, but with memory gaps and physical therapy ahead. He stayed away, unsure if he would ever be the man he once was. This may sound far-fetched, right? And the world of television, it's a narrative twist that brings drama, emotion, and the opportunity to explore deeper relationships. More importantly, it gives fans what they have been asking for: closure, and maybe even a second chance at love. Dr. The scene that follows is both beautiful and painful. Ty tries to explain why he didn't come back sooner. Amy is speechless, overwhelmed with emotion. Her heart is breaking all over again, not because he's gone, but because he's here, and she doesn't know how to feel. Relief, anger, joy, fear, it all floods her at once. She touches his face, unsure if she's dreaming. And in that moment, we see what Heartland is truly about: healing, love, and the unexpected ways life brings people back to each other. The ranch becomes a place of tension once again. Jack sees Ty and is frozen. Lou drops what she's doing when she sees him walking toward the barn. Even little Lindy, unsure of who this man is, stares at him with curious eyes, sensing something familiar in his voice and presence. This return isn't simple. It brings up old pain, old questions, and forces everyone to face what they thought was over. But for viewers, it's a chance to hope again. To see what happens when love survives even the longest silence. Ty's comeback is not just about shock value. It's about restarting a journey that was cut too short, not only for him, but for Amy, Lindy, and the entire Heartland family. It opens a new chapter, and with it, it's a new kind of story, One where healing doesn't mean forgetting, and where, even after the darkest night, the sun can rise again. Amy Fleming had spent years teaching herself how to live without Ty Borden. She'd learned how to smile for Lindy, how to ride alone, how to keep the ranch running like the steady beat of a heart refusing to give up. But even in the quietest moments, brushing a horse's mane, standing by the fire at night, his memory lived in her like a shadow that never fully disappeared. Asterisk. So when Ty stood in front of her again, real and silent, it wasn't her mind that reacted first. It was her heart. Asterisk. Her body didn't move. Her breath caught in her throat. It wasn't dramatic. There were no screams, no sudden tears. It was something deeper, stillness so powerful that even the horses nearby seemed to sense it. Asterisk. For a full 5 seconds, nothing was said. Asterisk. And then finally, Amy whispered, "How?" Asterisk. Ty's voice cracked as he spoke. "I didn't know how to come back, ... until now." Asterisk. This wasn't the kind of reunion that belongs in fairy tales. It was raw, complicated, and completely real. Years had passed. Pain had set in. Amy had faced grief in its purest form, the kind that doesn't ask permission before changing you. Asterisk. And yet, here he was. Not a dream, not a memory, but flesh and blood, with his same quiet strength and tired eyes that had once held a future. With her, asterisk, she didn't fall into his arms. In fact, she stepped back. Amy had built walls to protect herself, and love, even the deepest kind, doesn't erase scars. Not right away. Asterisk. The days that followed Ty's return were like walking through a fog of old emotions. Every moment felt like trying to fit a missing puzzle piece back into a space that had slowly reshaped without it. Asterisk. At first, Amy kept her distance. She focused on work. She poured herself into the horses as she always had. Every time she passed Ty in the barn, every time he spoke gently to Lindy or fixed a broken fence post like he used to. The past tugged at her chest. Asterisk. Ty, on the other hand, didn't push. He didn't ask her to love him again. He simply stayed close, helping, listening, quietly hoping. Asterisk. One evening, after a long day, Amy found herself watching him from the porch. He was brushing a new foal, whispering softly in its ear, the same way he used to with Spartan when they were just teenagers. The light hit his face in just the right way, and for a split second, he looked exactly like the man she married. Tears welled up, but she didn't let them fall. Later that night, they finally spoke alone. Asterisk. Amy sat across from him at the kitchen table, the same table where they had laughed, fought, shared dreams, and mourned loss. It was here, years ago, that she'd held his hand and promised to always believe in them. Asterisk. I don't know how to do this, she said quietly. Asterisk. I don't either, Ty replied, but I never stopped loving you. Asterisk. There it was, the truth they'd both been holding in. Asterisk. Amy looked away. I loved a man who died. I had to let him go. Asterisk. Ty leaned forward. And I loved a woman who had to keep going without me. But I'm still that man, Amy, just ... different, like you are. Asterisk. That night didn't end in an embrace or a kiss. It ended in silence, but not the kind that keeps people apart. The kind that slowly begins to rebuild a bridge. Asterisk. And over the next few episodes, we'll likely see that bridge tested. Love is never simple, especially when it's been paused, reshaped by grief, and dropped back into a life that has already moved forward. Asterisk. But one thing is clear. Amy and Ty still carry the same flame, even if it flickers differently now, whether it becomes a roaring fire again or fades into something softer. Their story is far from over. Asterisk. It's not about rewriting the past. It's about finding a new way to walk forward together or apart, with the truth laid bare and no more ghosts between them. Sometimes love doesn't come charging in. Asterisk. Sometimes it just walks beside you quietly and you don't notice until it's already taken your hand. Asterisk. Ty didn't return to Heartland expecting anything. Not forgiveness, not peace, and definitely not love. His heart was still full of pieces of Amy, of the life they once built, of a time that felt like another lifetime. He was still trying to find his place in a world that had moved on without him, but life, especially in Heartland, has a way of introducing new beginnings right when you're convinced all the doors are closed. Entered Dr. Lily Shaw, a visiting equine therapist from British Columbia. She arrives not as a love interest, not even as a friend. She's there to consult on a horse Amy and Ty are trying to rehabilitate. A rescue, much like Ty himself, broken, distant, unsure of how to trust again. Lily is quiet but confident, with a calm presence that fills the barn like sunlight at dawn, not blinding, but warm. She doesn't ask questions about Ty's past, she doesn't push. What she does do is notice things. The way Ty's hand pauses before touching a horse's shoulder. The way he looks at Amy with a kind of ache that doesn't fade. The way he flinches at the word home. Risk. The first time they speak alone, it's not about feelings. It's about horses. You're good with him, she says. Watching Ty work with the rescue, I just try not to scare him. Ty replies, sometimes silence scares more than sound, she says softly. And that's it. No flirtation. Sudden spark. Just to people who understand pain, standing in a barn full of creatures who've had to learn to trust again. But the connection builds slowly. Naturally. Like frost melting in the morning sun. Over the next few days, Amy notices. She watches the way Ty talks more freely around Lily. How his shoulders aren't always weighed down by the past. It's not that Lily is trying to take Amy's place. She isn't. She doesn't compete. She simply listens, encourages, and shows Ty that healing doesn't have to be done alone. Ty starts to smile again, not for show, but for real. And when he laughs during a moment with Lily and a stubborn colt, it hits Amy like a gust of wind she wasn't ready for. She's happy to see him come back to life, but there's a crack of something else. It's a quiet fear that maybe his heart is beginning to reach for something or someone. No? And what's so powerful about this storyline is that no one is the villain. Lily isn't trying to steal Ty. She doesn't even know the full story. Amy isn't being cold or jealous. She's simply watching a future unfold that she never prepared for. Ty isn't chasing anything. He's just breathing again. One night after a long session working with a troubled stallion, Lily and Ty sit under the stars. Nothing romantic happens. They share a thermos of coffee. They talk about second chances, not just in love, but in life. Opens up about her own pain, a partner she lost in a riding accident years ago. Her voice doesn't shake. She's made peace with it. And that's what strikes Ty most. She's not held down by grief, but guided by it. I used to think love had one shape, Ty says quietly. Now, I'm not sure what shape mine is anymore. Lily doesn't answer. She simply says, maybe it's not about shape. Maybe it's about movement. The ones that keep you going. That line stays with him. Back at the ranch, Amy feels the shift. She isn't angry. She's reflective. She begins to ask herself, was her heart frozen in the past? Or is it that Ty's thawing in a different direction? This new connection doesn't erase what he had with Amy. It doesn't try to rewrite their story. Instead, it raises the question every viewer is now asking. Can there be more than one great love in a lifetime? And for the first time since Ty came back, the answer isn't so clear as the sun rises over Heartland. We're left with a story that doesn't pick sides. It lets love be messy, honest, and real. Love is not always about who you can't live without. Sometimes. It's about who you are when they're around. And now. Ty Borden is standing in the middle of two lives, one he built with Amy and one that's quietly calling him forward. The days at Heartland are no longer still. There's tension in the wind. Even when no words are spoken, the air feels thick, like just before a thunderstorm. Amy watches Ty from a distance more often. Now, she's always been strong, but strength isn't the absence of pain, it's learning how to carry it. And right now, she's carrying the impossible, watching the man she grieved, the man she loved more deeply than words, begin to shift in ways she never imagined. Asterisk at the same time. Lily's presence at the ranch begins to change things. Not because she's trying to, but because she's simply there, and she's gentle, kind, and unintentionally healing something in Ty that Amy can't reach anymore. It isn't betrayal. It isn't disloyalty. It's life quietly happening after heartbreak. Jack is the first to feel the shift. One evening, he finds Ty alone in the barn, staring at a saddle that once belonged to him and Amy. Jack doesn't say much. He never does. But his voice is low, knowing. Asterisk greater than you. Don't owe anyone an answer yet, Ty, but you will need to be honest with yourself. That's harder than being honest with her. Asterisk Jack isn't just talking about Amy. He's talking about the land, the legacy, the life Ty left behind, and the version of himself he might never fully return to. Asterisk, meanwhile, Lou picks up on the undercurrent. She's protective of Amy, naturally. But she also sees something that no one else does. Amy isn't just afraid of losing Ty again. She's afraid she already did. Asterisk in a quiet scene. Lou speaks to Amy while brushing a horse. Asterisk, you don't have to hold on so tight. Amy, letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It just means you're strong enough to see what's really there. Asterisk Amy doesn't reply, but her silence says everything. Asterisk then, there's Lindy, young, observant, and full of innocent questions. She asks Amy one night. Asterisk, that's the kind of heartbreak that no adult drama can match. It's the kind that comes from a child asking the one thing no one is ready to answer. Asterisk Amy knows Ty is still a good man. She knows his return wasn't a promise to fall back into the past. But her heart is still tethered to every ride, every whisper in the barn, every kiss shared under a prairie sky. She didn't prepare for a love triangle. This isn't a soap opera. This is her real life, unraveling and reshaping all at once. Asterisk Ty, on the other hand, feels the pull from both directions. Asterisk with Amy, he feels history, deep, aching, beautiful. The kind of love that doesn't die, even when it's been buried. Asterisk with Lily, he feels peace, quiet, steady, possible. A new story, one that doesn't come with the weight of ghosts and years lost. Asterisk, the writers of Heartland aren't giving. USA Quick Fix. They're showing us the quiet unraveling of people trying to do the right thing, even when no version of right feels clean. Asterisk in the final scenes of the episode. There's a moment, short but powerful, where Amy and Ty stand outside as the sun sets. The light is golden, the wind soft. Amy looks at him and says, Asterisk greater than I loved you when you left, and I still love you now. But I don't know if we belong in the same story anymore. Asterisk Ty doesn't respond right away. He looks at her, not with regret, but with something even heavier. Acceptance. Asterisk, maybe love doesn't always mean staying. Maybe it means knowing when to let each other grow. Asterisk, there are no shouting matches. No accusations. Just two people standing in the aftermath of something bigger than both of them. It's quietly wondering what version of the future they're willing to write. And who will be standing beside them when they do. Asterisk, and that's where the real drama lies. Not in who Ty chooses, but in what that choice says about who he is now, and whether the love that built Heartland still has a place in the next chapter. Some stories don't end. They echo through every decision. Every glance, every breath between what was and what might be. Asterisk, and now. As the dust settles in Heartland, Season 19, Episode 1, we're not left with answers, we're left with a storm of questions. Asterisk. And that's what makes it unforgettable. Asterisk Ty is back. Asterisk, but the man who walked away years ago is not the same one who returned. He carries more than memories, okay? Carries guilt, grief, growth. And beside him now stand two women, each offering a different path. Asterisk Amy, the keeper of his past, the mother of his child, the love he once believed was forever. Asterisk and Lily, the quiet spark of something new. Not a replacement, but a reflection. Someone who understands pain, not as a wound, but as a doorway. Asterisk, this isn't a love triangle built for drama. It's one shaped by time. And every character is standing on their own truth. For Amy, this chapter forces her to face something she never had to imagine, that moving on might mean letting go. Even of the man she once called home. Asterisk for Ty, it's the impossible choice between memory and momentum, between a love that once defined him and a new presence that might restore him. Asterisk for the fans, it's emotional whiplash. Social media is already on fire. Some viewers are calling for Ty and Amy's reunion, saying their love survived death itself. It shouldn't be undone by distance or time. Asterisk, others are embracing Lily's calm, grounding energy, believing that Ty deserves a fresh start, one that doesn't ask him to carry the weight of yesterday. Asterisk, and then there are those in the middle who see the heartbreak and beauty in both sides. Asterisk, because sometimes the most painful kind of love is the kind that must transform or fade. Episode 1 ends not with closure, but with a question. Who is Ty Borden now? Asterisk, and is there still space in his heart and his future for Amy? The final scene is deliberately silent. Ty stands alone at the ranch gate, watching the horses graze under the setting sun. In one hand is a note from Amy, folded gently. In the other, a worn-out photo of the three of them. Him, Amy, and Lindy, taken years ago. His eyes close. We don't see tears. We don't hear music. The wind, whispering what we're all feeling. Something is ending. Something else is about to begin. The brilliance of this episode lies not in what it tells us, but in what it leaves unsaid. Asterisk, will Amy choose peace over persistence? Asterisk, will Ty follow the past or step into the future? Asterisk, will Lily stay or step aside knowing her presence has changed everything? We don't know. And maybe that's the point. Asterisk, because in Heartland, love has never been simple. Asterisk, it's been wild, broken, tested, and rebuilt. It's not about grand gestures or dramatic endings. It's about choices made in the quiet, in barns, by fences, under skies that remember everything. Asterisk, as fans wait for episode 2. The speculation continues. Asterisk, some believe Ty may walk away again, not out of fear, but clarity. Asterisk, others think Amy and Ty will rediscover something deeper. Not what they had, but something new, something earned. Asterisk, and a growing voice wonders. Maybe Ty's return was never about rekindling love at all. Maybe it was about releasing it with grace. Asterisk, whatever happens next. One thing is certain. Asterisk, Heartland has entered its most emotionally daring season yet. Not because of plot twists or AGHID and my pot twists or surprises, but because it's finally showing what real love looks like when it's forced to grow or break. Asterisk, so as the screen fades to black and the credits roll, one question stays with us. Asterisk, if you had to choose between the love that built you and the love that rebuilds you, which would you choose? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget, this is only the beginning.